Hey guys, welcome back to part 7 of working on the combine rotor. Well, as you saw in part 6, we got the gearbox put in up there, so that job's all done. Got the forklift sitting right over there running, getting ready to pick up the rotor here underneath the sprayer, and we'll get to work getting it stuck back in. I did go ahead and grab a new bearing for down here on the end. Just go ahead and replace it since I've already got it out. So I'm going to get around here and we'll get to work getting this thing put back in the cage. Well, I was hoping that would come off there, but just like any other good lock collar bearing, it's stuck on the end of that rotor shaft. So got the old smoke wrench sitting right there, and this will be pretty simple. Just cut through there, and it's just a pillow block bearing basically. Just put it in this outside, put it in sideways, give it half a turn, and goes right on. So I'm going to get that whacked off there, and then we can get to work getting it lined up to go back into the cage up there. Okay, I got the old bearing cut off. Got that fan sitting there blasting cold air at to cool that down good. Sit right up there for now. But yeah, like I said, it's just like a regular, just like any other pillow block bearing. Goes in sideways and give it a turn. Well, in theory. There we go. And there we can get turned around, and that'll have it. Got the rotor here strapped back onto the forklift. So, gotta get my work lights set there behind the engine, and then we'll be ready to start getting it lined up to put back into the cage. That got it run in almost all the way. I need to jump back up over there, take a look through the cage, but I think I'm about ready to take and drop that orange strap off. That should just about have it. Back in here behind the motor now. Okay. Yeah, you can see right there's the end of the rotor drive, and there's the spline. So, got to get that PTO set up to match up. Other than that, though, don't look too bad in here. So I'm going to jump back on the forklift. We'll go ahead and bring that on in. And sometimes you may have to put a pry bar through the concave here and kind of wiggle it up and down to get the jump up on that spline shaft. Okay, I think you can kind of see that. We're right up against that spline. Now I'm trying to stick the pry bar through the concave. It's not that far off. Just the way it's looking in there, I may need to bump up on the forklift. Well, we'll go try that. I think you can see down in there halfway decent, but we're starting. However, I don't think the teeth are wanting to line up just right. Let's see if I might be able to, well, maybe not. I thought I might be able to get a little bit of flex on it, but not enough. I'll probably have to take and actually turn the belt itself. I took this big pry bar right here, I put the gearbox into neutral, then put that pry bar and was able to take and roll that, just the spline shaft. And I think that did the trick. Get that thing out of the way. Hey, there we go. Now that's more like it. And what I'm doing, put the pry bar through the concave right there, then just stick into the rasp bars and just pry it over. Works pretty good so far. I can tell you one thing, this rotor's a lot easier to do than easier to put in than the R52 is. Oop. That one's a little bit more of a pain. Well, didn't break anything. Pry bar just jumped out, but hey, we're on the spline, so now I can do all the rest of my prying out there on the forklift. Let's see if I can do it this way. Not too sure. Yeah, that might not work. I may need a bigger pry bar, and or I'll just use the forklift. Sit down, back up, then lift back up and go on in until it goes to the end of the spline. Yeah, like I say, this rotor is easier to do or to take in and out than the R72 over there is. And the reason why, this one here you can take and put the forks in those in between the rasp bars, whereas that 72 it's a solid drum, and so you can put the forks in between the rasp bars on each side, pick it up, go into the cage so far, then you gotta lower, set it back down, then back clear out and bring the forks up to the carrier bearing, and then hook on the ends or the end of the drum in order to push on into the cage and onto that spline. Okay, after a little finagling and wiggling around on it. That got it put all the way onto the spline. So we're good to go. What happens is the rasp bars kind of want to catch the helicals, and you just gotta keep wiggling it to get unhooked out of that helical bar. That way it goes right through, because it basically has to go straight in. If it's off either up, down, or side to side, the rasp bars can catch that helical. That's got it set in there. I'm going to grab one of these lock washers, throw on that bottom stud bolt, and go ahead and throw that little nut on there also. Number 3/8. That stop sign that goes around here, on the bottom it does not have a bolt hole, it's a notch, and so you sit it down over top that, then that way you can push you can put the bottom side, get it hooked in, then push the top up to get all the stud bolts lining up. Got the camera kind of perched right there, hoping it don't fall off. Now let's see if I can get this stop sign set up there. Uh-oh, I think I bumped it. Not too bad. Now I have heard of, come on. I have heard of guys who have had trouble. I'm guessing it's going to be on the bigger machines. There we go. But of them having trouble with this wanting to break out right here. This is 1/8 inch plate, and I've heard of guys taking, because these stud bolts are long enough, I've heard of guys taking this like to a machine shop and have them make a setup just like this out of 1/4 inch plate, and that would definitely be a lot stronger. Okay, these studs on this side are lining up, but now those are. Even better. Gotta give it a good hit. Well, I'll start putting all my jam nuts and lock washers on. Bring you back in. I just throw up here at the top. That went crashing down, smacked the grate. I just start up here at the top, snug them up, that way they're good to go. Jump over here toward the side, do the same thing. Got all the hardware put in, so now ready to start tightening things down. And I put them down just tight. You don't want to snap one of them stud bolts off. I got all those bolts tightened up around the outside edge of the stop sign. Now I'm putting a pry bar through this square cutout under the rotor. I'm going to pry up on it, And we're going to get that thing right there lined up. Yep, I may have to move my ladder. Oh, I thought anyway. If you can get at least one of them bolt holes, hey, there we go. That got one lined up. If you can start getting those lined up, then you're good to go. Once you get one bolt in, you should be able to do some wiggling on that piece to help line up the rest of the bolt holes. We have to kind of change. There we go. Okay, I've got the two bottom ones in. Now, the two top ones should be pretty easy to just reach up and pop them through, and you're off and running. And once you get all those in, let's see here. There's like this little lip piece right here, and that'll actually go around this cast ring. It'll seat down around that. It's not wanting to do anything right now until I get the bolts all in and start drawing it together. Now I can see on these bolts, I did have from before, had a little Loctite on them, so we'll go ahead and throw a little blue Loctite back onto them. Blue Loctite's the medium strength, so it just keeps anything from any vibration from working anything loose. Alrighty, that's got that. Now we'll take and start putting the hardware back into it. Just go ahead and start on the bottom ones, like that. Then you take your regular 3/4 inch wrench, come up behind here and hold on that bolt head, and then you can take and hammer them down with an impact. Although I can't tighten anything up real tight until I get this cast piece here seated in properly. In fact, I see I did forget about something. That pickup, I'm going to take and move that thing, it's in the way. With that pickup, all you got to do is just simply take and pull one bolt out and just let it hinge back, because otherwise it's in the way to be able to get a socket onto this bolt right here. Okay, that bottom lip is beginning to pop up on there. You gotta stick the pry bar underneath the rotor and just kind of pry up and down on it. And just kind of work it back and forth. Until that begins to line up in there. Okay, don't know if you can see that. Get that thing out of there. Don't know if you can see that very well, but now we're beginning to pull in to the stop sign. Okay, yeah, now you can see how that cast piece has pulled in that stop sign hole, and that's what you want. Okay, we'll go ahead and put the last two of these top ones here on. That'll have it. Okay, let's get everything all tightened up on that. Now we'll go ahead, well, I'll put that bolt, if I can find it, there it is, back into this pickup. There we go, just like that. And the next thing I want to do is take and put what I call the spider wheel back on. And that's what that RPM pickup right here reads off of. It reads off like the little impulses as it passes over that. And we'll get this spider wheel here tightened up. And on that, there we go. That should be good enough. Don't need to break anything. Yeah, I usually run the distance between that pickup right back in there and the spider wheel. Maybe just a little gap of light between, but usually run those pretty close, and with not much clearance. Maybe about the thickness of a business card, something like that. And it's always worked pretty good for me. Next thing gotta do, take and put this cover here on, and hey, that'll have it. Then we'll be ready to take and fold this outside panel right here up. Before I put this panel here on, I just threw the gearbox in neutral. I want to take and there we go. Okay. Everything sounds good. That's also another way you can check to see if your thing's in balance. Because if it's going to be heavier on one side, it's going to be getting to the heavy side is going to kind of work its way down. But if you just simply spin the thing and it just gradually slows down to a stop, doesn't go anywhere, you know you're good to go. Everything's all balanced out right, which it should be. I mean, it's not like I changed anything with these rasp bars. That part's all the same. And we'll put the last cover on. There we go. Just like that. That's got all the covers all back onto it. Now I'm going to grab my rope and we'll hook into this. Let's see here. Yeah, it's this bolt hole right here, and we'll be ready to take and swing that panel back up and put him back in place. Like I think I've made mention, I've been seeing where the new Gleaner T series that is new, actually new production starting here in 2025. The side panel, you put your auger out and you no longer have a panel that you drop down. I've seen some videos where somebody just like a big button or a latch up underneath, they hit that, and the whole entire side, the top piece and the bottom piece right there underneath that with that grate, it's all hinged right back here on the back. And so when you hit that, the whole entire side opens up and you have access to everything. Now that'd be nice. So I'm gonna grab my rope. Got my rope here. Like I showed, well, it would have been on part 1 of Gleaner R52 working on the rotor. If you can find like a dog chain clip like that, that works perfect. Just take and clip them in like that. Take the rest of your rope. Let's see if I can do this right-handed. Usually I go left. Well, let's see here. All right, toss it up on top of the combine. That's all it needs. That way it can't go anywhere. Then you can jump up there. We'll grab the rope and pull the side right up. I got you hanging up here on the side. I think you can see halfway decent. All righty, then you just grab your rope. Make sure you hang on, that way you don't fall off the side. And then just pull him right up like that. There we go. And let me see here if I can turn the camera. I'm trying to hold this thing up at the same time. Like I showed you before, got this quick latch here. It acts like something's holding it out. Oh, I see what's wrong. It's wanting to catch on that side. I left that quick latch open. It's hooked. But it acts like I need to take and line these where you put those 3 bolts through right across here. Acts like I need to take and kind of throw a punch in there and kind of line them holes up first, and then go back and actually trip that over center. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll put the bolts in, then trip that over center. Let's see here. Just to be on the safe side, get that pin pulled up. We'll take and wrap that around there a little bit, and that way nothing can break loose and let the side drop, which I don't think it's going to go anywhere with that latch thrown. There we go. Okay, I'll get to work on the bolts. Got those 3 bolts in up there, then trip that quick latch back over center, so we're good to go. All right, guys, well, I'm going to call this an end of the video, and also an end to this part series, I guess you'd call that. And the only thing I have left to do is put oil in that gearbox, but it's hard to put a bunch of 80-90 gear oil in that box until it gets warmed up. So I'll put something up here in the cab to remind me of that. And other than that, though, I think this thing's ready to roll. So take care. Thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you next time.